And Honorable Betty Kamya, the Minister for Kampala, nice to have you in the studios. Good morning.
Thank you for inviting me.
I'll start with you.
Oh.
If you could just give us a peek into what is entailed in this ambitious plan.
Well, I wouldn't even say it's ambitious. It's ordinary, it's normal, because the concept of a metropolitan is not unique to Kampala. It's a nationwide concept, and it's a worldwide concept. Wherever there is a big city, there will be satellite jurisdictions or regions around it. And so a metropolis or metropolitan concept is intended to provide services, to plan together that area called a metropolitan. But it is not territorial, is the most important thing. It is not territorial. So in Uganda, with the enactment of the Kampala Capital City Act of 2010, which was enacted in 2010, the concept of the metropolitan was institutionalized in the Kampala Capital City Act by creating, one, there's the Kampala Metropolitan Police, and two, there's the Kampala Metropolitan Physical Planning Authority. But there's also mention in the other documents, the Greater Kampala Transport Authority, the Greater Kampala, I think it has to do with there's so many activities or services that are envisaged to cover Kampala and the metropolitan area. So it is not a new thing. It was enacted in 2010 in the Kampala Capital City Act of 2010. I was surprised that Honorable Numbers is raising it today as if it's a new thing. It's not a new thing. It's been there since 2010.
There's the 2015 amendment bill where this is embedded as well. And it's raising a lot of suspicion. Have you analyzed the points of contention therein, especially when it comes to the expansion?
There's no point of contention and there's no expansion. What is there is the Kampala Metropolitan Physical Planning Authority, which was enacted in the Mother Act, but was not given the legs to move. It creates the Kampala Metropolitan Physical Planning Authority, but without a secretariat. So this amendment creates the secretariat.
Who benefits from this?
Well, Ugandans and the residents of the metropolitan area. I'll give you an example, for instance, and it's not even new. I mean, it's just like the East African community, if you like. Because you have services that will be good, services, logistics, infrastructure that would be common to a bigger area. So you create the East African community. It does not matter, does not concern itself with borders. It concerns itself with the common user facilities services. The East African community, COMESA, SADC, European community, its services beyond borders. And so the Greater Kampala, the Kampala Metropolitan Physical Planning Authority, for instance, I'll give you an example why it is important. You could, Kampala Capital City Authority might plan a residential area, a high-class residential area in a certain place on the borderline. Just across the road is Mukono, say, district. And Mukono district might plan a club or a bar or something that makes a lot of noise. But because we have not started to plan together, here is a residential area planned by Kampala. Next door is a recreation area planned by Mukono, Mukono district. It would have been much nicer if the two had planned together so that they don't put these conflicting
before I bring in Honorable Betty Nambozi, I seem to feel that these jurisdictions are different. Kampala is metropolitan, while Mukono is a local government. How do you intend to merge these two interests?
That's what I was trying to tell you. It is not about boundaries and territories, just like the East African community. It is not about boundaries and territories. It is about common interests in user facilities, like logistics, like infrastructure, like taxes, even things that are not physical. So Kampala creating a metropolitan authority is for easy management and synergizing.
Well, Honorable Betty Namboze, what would make you suspicious of this otherwise well-intentioned plan?
Well, first of all, I want to say that once you extend your authority across a boundary, you are in effect extending, removing the boundaries. So what I want my sister Betty to know, that I don't expect you to come to Namamve and dig there a trench, or cover the trench which exists there, to show that you have now jumped the boundary. It's about your actions. Once you agree that I, Betty Kamia, now I'm the Minister for Metropolitan Affairs, and this covers part of Mukono, part of Wachiso, and then part of Mpigi, you are in effect extending the boundaries of Kampala too. You asked me what forms our opposition to this. It's about the message and the messenger. The message and the messenger. You know, Betty Kamia gave us a very good formula to determine which people you can trust. She said, you can only trust people who are dependable. Those people who don't change their words. Betty is supervising over heading a ministry that takes 7.9 billion from the taxpayers' money. But she does not have an accounting officer in her ministry. She doesn't write a policy statement to bring to Parliament. The policy statement, the one, for example, the one she has just submitted in Parliament, only talks about Kampala. It is from KCCA. But she is operating a budget of 7.9 billion. What do you think she's doing? What she's doing, she stated it very properly. She said, as soon as she assumed the office, that she's out to look for votes for Mr. Museveni, and that in the next election, Mr. Museveni will earn 80% of the votes of Kampala, and maybe by extension now, the votes in the metropolitan area. She never at any one time addressed herself to the issue of development. That's why you see her mission and her strategies don't target the technical people at KCCA. She targets the political leaders. If you look at the amendments, for example, you will not see anything to do with development. You will see that we have a minister who is trying to gather all the political powers in these areas and to herself. And she's doing this on behalf of somebody. And this issue has not just started.
Is it more of politics than development?
Yeah, it is more of politics than development. This matter started long ago when Mutesa the First allowed Captain Lugard to construct a fort there in Kampala, now called the Old Kampala. And the interests Captain Lugard was serving were not the interest of the Baganda at that time or Uganda, but he was serving the interest of the colonialist. Mr. Museveni has just replaced, is the Captain Lugard of these days. And he has his agent in Betty Kamia. And the interests they are advancing are not the interests of the Ugandans, but their political interests as a regime.
Before you shoot the messenger, National Planning Authority sat with Honorable Betty Kamia and highlighted what they intend to do to ensure that Kampala, the greater Kampala, looks beautiful.
No.
I thought you'd celebrate this.
What we have right now is a cocktail of the devil's incompetent policies all put together to create a bigger confusion for this area. For example, she's talking about national physical planning. Isn't it the thing she's emphasizing? But she's talking about physical planning when she's working with the National Physical Planning Authority. The National Physical Planning Authority deals with socio-economic plans.
National Planning Authority?
Yes. The body that deals with physical planning is called the National Planning Board. It is a different organ that deals with physical planning. So you can't say that you are dealing with the National Planning Authority of Chisamba Mugerwa that is charged with issues of socio-economic planning to enforce physical planning. Physical planning is handled by another body. It is called the National Planning Board. It is a board of experts who have experience and expertise in planning. This is not what Betty is dealing with. She's dealing with Samba Mugerwa, who is pursuing to enforce the 2040 Vision 2040. And Vision 2040 is a political document. So what I was saying, President Museveni having occupied the Lugardis fort, and Bet Kamya is here to help him. What they are advancing right now is to consolidate themselves. You see, you cannot overthrow a government in any country unless you have taken power in the city, not so? You cannot, it can't be said that so and so overthrew a government unless you take power in the city. So what these people are trying to do is to use these laws and policies to take over the city so that they can feel that now we are in power, we are politically in charge of the city, and by extension, the neighboring districts. Their other agenda is to be able to get free land, to give to people who are investors. And the investors, who are the investors? These are foreign companies. You see, you cut down Namamve, and you give it to Chinese to build warehouses there. And that is what they call development. You go down here at Nachivubo, you send away thousands of vendors and give the land to a person who doesn't look like his money, to construct whatever he's constructing. You have nothing. You are planning for the people of Uganda, and you know, you seem not even to realize there are so many stakeholders in this.
Well, the analogy of a messenger who is not trusted with a message that is equally suspicious. What's your take?
You know, I think that Honorable Namboze is always doing politics.
And what are you doing?
I gave you your time. Kindly hold your cool, as I did. Honorable Namboze is always doing politics. And I'm surprised that she's going for me as an individual.
But can you divorce politics from this?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Can you divorce politics from this intention?
You can, actually.
No.
You can at some point, because let me tell you, this bill, I found it in Parliament. This bill, and it is even dated 2015, before I came into government. It was submitted to Parliament in the 9th Parliament by the Minister for Kampala that preceded me, Honorable Frank Tumwebazi, this bill. So for Honorable Namboze to go out and show her wrath and anger and go for Betty Kamya, this bill, I found it in Parliament.
Betty,
so
that's
I
your bill.
Inherited it. It is a bill of the Minister of Kampala. If I go out of the office today, the minister who will come after me will still inherit this bill and take it forward. The objectives of the bill are clear. This bill is intended to streamline and strengthen the governance of the city in accordance with Article 5 of the Constitution. That is where you want to start your argument. If you want a constitutional amendment, then go for a constitutional amendment. But once the Constitution is there, then all laws bend to the Constitution before the Constitution. And the Constitution
from the
says,
depth of your heart, do you feel this is ideal for the country?
Absolutely, I do. And especially this question of the Metropolitan Physical Planning Authority. I think it's extremely necessary. Let me tell you, they are estimated that 3.5 million people occupy Kampala during the day. But at night, only 2 million people sleep in Kampala. So 1.5 million people come from the metropolitan. They bring their children to school here. They do business in Kampala. But they go back to Wakiso, to Mukono, and nobody's saying it's a bad thing. It's just saying, therefore, we must plan together. I mean, it just says the migration of people, the occupation of the people, the way they spend their days, they bring their children to school. The jams that are caused is because mainly of the 1.5 million people that don't live in Kampala, but spend the day in Kampala. But they live in the neighborhood.
Does the bill also stipulate that you will be presiding over the greater metropolitan?
It does not. It just says it creates Kampala capital city. It creates Kampala capital city authority. And then in this act, it also creates the Metropolitan Physical Planning Authority. It also creates the Metropolitan Police, which is in this act.
And they will fall under your office.
Therefore, right? No, they don't fall under my office. I'm trying to explain to you. So, the technical arm of government, the Ministry of Public Service. You know, the president is a vision bearer.
Which vision?
Whatever. I mean, because, you know, if I say, let's have tea, or we are hungry, I've started a vision. So the technical people go to buy sugar and tea leaves and charcoal and things. But the person who starts it won. So the president says, we should have a metropolitan area. I mean, I'm narrowing the vision to today's debate. If he says, we need a metropolitan area so that we plan together, this migration of people to 1.5 million people who migrate from the neighboring districts to Kampala, we have to plan together. So he creates the offices. Now the technical office ministry, the Ministry of Public Service, sits together with the relevant technical officers and says, for this minister of Kampala to be able to coordinate the function of the metropolitan, then they have to be, we need to create that function as well.
Yes.
So the minister is the Minister of Kampala Capital City and Metropolitan Affairs. There are affairs which are not of metropolitan. If Mukono district wants to build a hospital, say, or to do something, or to stop drinking of waraji during the day, and it is passed as an ordinance within metropolitan, within Mukono, and it is not a metropolitan matter, it does not concern the metropolitan.
Where does your mandate start and stop?
I want you to distinguish between affairs to understand what affairs means. Metropolitan affairs
here. Yes, please.
Metropolitan affairs are only those affairs that concern the metropolitan area.
Like?
They are affairs
which
don't concern. Like I said, you want to construct a road, or Mukono constructs a rail. But the rail, they want to bring it up to Mukono, the border. Maybe they've planned to bring it up to the border of Mukono. If you don't plan together, KCCA would probably have planned something else at that area.
May I ask
which
you?
means that someone will have to get off, and because they're not planning together.
May I ask you?
Yes, Honorable.
Recently, and of course it's an ongoing project, the government is constructing the new express highway. The road is going through 2 different districts. Who has stopped them? Who has stopped them?
They have not stopped them.
What problems have you faced? What did Wakiso do to you in particular when you were constructing the Entebbe highway?
You know,
when you were
will you let her
when government was constructing the Seta Namugongo Road, where did you find the problem?
Betty, 2 wrongs don't make a right.
No, we are not talking about wrongs.
If you are improving,
talking
there's
about
nothing wrong with improving that.
We are talking
so
about
that
successful
all the
projects.
people concerned. Those are highways. highways. There are roads, you know, that are UNRWA roads, highway roads. Then there are roads that or activities or decisions that are done by the local authorities.
And you were talking about those roads which go
That's
beyond
an example, Betty.
through many districts.
There are
decisions. Next time you get to construct Kampala Ginger Highway,
there are
you will have to annex Ginger.
Betty, that was just an example. But clearly, I'll give you another example. There are people who want to construct a factory, an industry, to get garbage and turn it into fertilizers or electricity. Now, their farm requires 5,000 tons of waste per day, but KCCA produces 2,000 tons of waste per day. So we need an extra 3,000 tons.
And you pick it from Mukono.
And for that matter, we need to talk to Mukono, we need to talk to Wakiso, and we need to talk to Mpigi, so that we have this one farm. We can even choose to place it anywhere, not just in Kampala.
So do you want to suggest that there's been no partnership between
there has been we have no forum for engagement.
What will you do?
So the Metropolitan creates a forum, a formal forum for engagement.
What will you do when you get a factory that wants to process coffee, and it is picking coffee from Luwero, from Masaka, from... So I don't
know why Honorable Betty Namboze is saying that there's never need for neighboring jurisdictions to talk. Okay. Is that what you're saying, Betty? That there's never need for
what I'm saying is that you don't need a structure. You don't need a structure like the one you are creating to have districts.
But what I'm saying, then how will they talk? How will they talk?
We gave you Section 21 and Section 22 in the Principal Act. In essence, what we are saying.
What do they say?
The Section 21 provides for the Metropolitan Physical Planning Authority.
Yes.
It's a board of experts which you are supposed to appoint, but you have never appointed. You chose to do other things.
Honorable Frank appointed them. But you need
who are the members of that committee? You didn't appoint.
You need to get yourself
so who are they?
Correctly.
Who are they? If you did appoint them, who are they?
Before he
can you tell the council right now who are they?
I cannot remember the names.
No, because you have just sworn an affidavit. You have just sworn an affidavit, Betty, and the affidavits are public documents. You saw an affidavit when Lukwago took you to court. You saw an affidavit. One of the cases, one of the issues he was raising, that you have failed on your duty. You have failed to appoint.
But he's wrong, and court will call you wrong.
You hear me out. You hear me out of this. You hear me out of this. No, let her give me space.
You don't have facts, Betty.
No, I do. I do have them.
You are just emotional.
No, I do have them. You allow me to tell you what you submitted in the court.
Okay. And it was approved by Parliament.
Who heads it now?
I think it's you see that let me tell you.
Who heads it?
The point is this: the board has never been operationalized because we needed to give them a secretariat. But the board and the secretariat.
Have you met them?
Of course, I have.
Who did you meet?
Dr. Odong. Is Dr. Odong?
Betty, you have reached that level.
Which level?
Of telling lies.
Betty, I will take you to court.
Okay.
If you think I'm telling,
take me to court.
Matter, I will take you to court.
If there is a board, okay, take me to court.
Appointed a board.
Now give me time to
bring us here tomorrow. I'll bring them here.
No,
tomorrow. Let's bring them here. Let's
give me time.
This matter, Frank. Simon, let us conclude this matter. I will bring you.
Simon,
bring Frank tomorrow.
No, I want Betty to take me to court
because we needed to give them a secretariat.
Okay,
the only thing they didn't,
them, have you?
I have. The only thing that the board could not operationalize because we did not give them a secretariat. And the amendment in this amendment is to create a secretariat so that the board can start operating. And Simon, bring Frank Tumobaza here tomorrow. He will tell you, or bring members of the board, or bring me here. I will bring you a cabinet memo, a cabinet decision, which appointed the board.
Shall allow me to make this statement?
Go ahead.
There is no Metropolitan Physical Planning Authority, the board that has been appointed yet. And Betty in a document that is now a public document, in an affidavit, she herself submitted to court. She said this, that I know that the matter of establishing the Metropolitan Physical Planning Authority is before Parliament for legislation in order to establish the relevant structures.
Exactly.
She is pleading that we have not appointed the board because I want some amendments to be done.
Yes, the
and then she is here telling lies that she has established the board.
Secretariat.
Imagine.
The board
Who are
is there.
they?
Betty, the board is there.
It
board
isn't,
is there.
It's not
It
there.
is there.
It's not
It
there.
is there.
And when I give you this book, you submitted this policy document to Parliament. Show me where you wrote about that board and how you are remunerating it. Show me. That is your document. Show me in that policy statement.
Betty,
how much money that board is supposed to get this financial year.
You
read. Imagine, but this is the policy statement.
Betty,
you, Betty Kamya, submitted on behalf of your ministry to Parliament.
KCCA.
Okay.
Betty doesn't even know how it works.
So
let me tell you.
Okay.
Do you submit
Will you listen to Honorable Betty Kamya, please?
No, she has had a lot of time.
Let me tell you how it works.
You don't know how it works.
His Excellency the President.
You need to be oriented.
Please.
You need to be oriented.
Hold it, madam.
When His Excellency the President created this ministry, he first created it as the Ministry of the Presidency and Kampala. Afterwards, he separated the Ministry of Kampala, but he said that in order not to further increase expenditure, because we're trying now to trim expenditure, this ministry will share the Secretariat with the Presidency. So it is not right to say that we don't even have a Secretariat, because our Secretariat and our vote is still with the Ministry of the Presidency, and we share the Secretariat with the Ministry
so the Minister of Kampala
Presidency.
appears in the policy statement of the Ministry
yes,
of
so
Presidency.
when we sit, yes.
And you're a full cabinet minister with a state
true,
minister,
Betty,
and you appear under. Your vote is under another ministry?
Yes.
So what is your work?
That is the President's.
What is your work apart
from
mobilizing for Museveni?
Of reducing.
What other work do you do?
You know that even
that's why you are everywhere. In borders, in taxis,
Honorable, will you become, please?
You have taken over that ministry job, Minister of Portfolio.
Honorable Namboze, will you let Honorable Betty Kamya
how does
make
that
her
hurt
statement?
you? Betty,
it doesn't hurt me.
It even shows on your face.
It doesn't hurt me.
Your face is so hard.
I'm fighting deception.
I think it is personal.
I'm fighting deception.
Why is it personal?
Why do you participate in this devilish office?
I took over this office.
You did not take over any office. You are just a campaign manager.
Whose interests are you defending here?
Let me tell you, if Betty was doing this job properly, she would have started with what is referred to as a green paper. Bring out all these ideas for discussion, which would finally end into a white paper. All this she's trying to explain here. We would have a government white paper on it, properly analyzing what should be done in the short term, in the medium term, and in the long term. If she was doing her job as a minister.
How much stakeholder involvement has been lent towards this proposal, this bill?
You know, Simon, as I said, this bill was submitted to Parliament in 2015.
But it is your bill.
Yes, Betty. Hold it. Why don't you hold your peace, Betty?
It's your bill.
What's your problem?
Why do you deny it?
Why don't? I'm not denying it. I'm telling you that a lot of work was done, and when I came, I added to the work. The Minister.
So what's your role here?
Listen, the Minister of State for KCCA actually went to Council and submitted this document to Council on the 19th of June.
Did he come to 2017? Did he go to Wachiso?
Did he go to 2017 and addressed Council and submitted KCCA authority? Lord Mayor himself was there.
So you mean that is a document
after
of
that,
the Mayor?
After that, no, it was submitted. After that, we met all the councillors. It's on record.
So you
we
mean
met the councillors.
So you mean the councillors can legislate themselves out of power?
Met so many. No, the councillors, the urban councillors are actually very, very keen to get a devolution, to get power,
because you know,
devolve to the.
Show me where you are giving them power.
That's why
your bill.
The mayors.
Read for me.
All the 5 mayors
that
went
particular clause
to
that
this
talks about
committee.
giving powers
I'm
to
going
the
to
division.
I'm going to give you time to ask questions and make your submissions. Please.
Yeah, you know the problem with the Namboze, she always works for the gallery.
Yes,
That's the
but
problem.
even you.
She's just a Kampala and
you're
Mukono.
just
It's about planning together. planning together. When you say merge,
Do you want to suggest that
I'd like you to change that word merge.
And
Because
you
it
prefer
means
to use
completely different.
you're going to be
prefer
a
to use
minister
the word
in charge of Kampala, Mukono, Wakiso, and Mpigi?
No,
Yes.
sir. The minister for Kampala, but in charge of
Overseeing.
affairs. There is a difference. The other one is territorial. Merge is territorial. But when we talk about affairs, to coordinate affairs,
Affairs should mean
So if you
tendering processes,
No.
development.
The affairs that are common to both, what they want to use both, it's not
Do you
merging.
accept it?
What is
The
not
word
common?
merging.
vague.
What is not common?
No, it's not vague.
What is not common?
Merge is a common English word. It means to bring together.
And what are you
And it is
doing?
territorial. This one is planning together.
And what is
planning? I think there's a difference
No.
between planning together and on issues, and not everything, on issues that are metropolitan.
Has
On
there been any
issues.
discord in the way you've been doing things?
No, we haven't got there because it's not yet institutionalized. It's a proposal.
What does it
It
mean?
is not
a
yet
proposal.
institutionalized.
You have
What does
just
it
talked
mean
about the
fronting a
metropolitan
bill
police, for
couched in a lot
example.
of suspicion
It's not a proposal.
and,
There's no
political
suspicion.
undertones.
I think the suspicion is created by people like Honorable Namboze.
The gallery
The
politicians.
the gallery politicians, yes.
And
bill
yourself?
is
I
very,
plead
very
guilty
clear.
to that. I'm a
The
gallery
bill
politician.
is very, very clear. There is nothing about merging. There is something called metropolitan. And the metropolitan is a concept. And I'm telling you, it is not even in Uganda alone. There's a metropolitan everywhere. London has a metropolis. Birmingham, New York, Kenya, the metropolitan concept.
Shared interests.
Shared interest, exactly.
shared interests.
I think, Simon, you've got it right.
Yes.
The metropolitan concept is a world concept. And it's not about fighting for territories. It's not about fighting for power. It's about people who might have common interests.
Okay.
And why are you
Planning
establishing a
together.
Which
secretariat?
powers will you be superintending over?
It's not powers. It is coordination.
You'll be coordinating.
More coordination.
And what is it?
Will you be whipping the leaders of the districts like you're doing in Kampala?
It is coordination. For instance,
You coordinate them
you
through
want,
State House.
for instance, this Metropolitan Physical Planning Authority, how will they go to Mukono? Because it is housed in Kampala. They are planning, say, because the city is expanding, nobody can deny that. So how will this Metropolitan Physical Planning Authority, which is in the law, go to Mukono? So we are looking over a way of coordinating.
Would it mean that perhaps while you try to broaden your territorial interests, Jinja
It is
could
not
also
to
be...
broaden territorial interests.
Yes.
It is to establish common interests.
I think we are speaking English.
No. No one is broadening interests, but we are establishing common interests.
How about fears that people-appointed leaders will cede their powers to your office?
I don't see it anywhere in the law.
Well, what I've discovered...
If we are discussing the law, not the
sentiments.
The sentiments, there is nothing in the law.
What I've discovered is that either the Honorable Minister is ignorant of our own bill, or she's...
It's not her bill. She says she just made a few
No,
additions.
it's my bill. It's the minister's bill.
It is the minister's bill.
Whoever minister. If I go out tomorrow, the next minister...
She's either ignorant of our bill, or she has come here to deliberately tell lies through distortion.
If I can just borrow this,
Mr.
yes.
Angela, first of all, before we went for the break, we had requested the Honorable Minister to read out the clause that in particular gives powers to the divisions. She's yet to find it. And that is very interesting. Two, people can use words to mean different things. Here she's talking about planning and she's emphasizing that. But when you read the details of this document, they have called it the Greater Kampala Economic Development Strategy, which they launched on the 9th of March. It talks about much, much more than that. It talks about establishing, for example, establishing a land bank, and it is talking. Yeah, let's go to page 23 here.
Is it highlighted anywhere?
Page 23 here. The subtopic is land use, zoning, and land banking. It is talking about a land bank. It is talking about using GIS.
Just a second. Are you aware of this?
You launched it on the 9th of March. You called our mayors.
This, It was launched by National Planning Authority. By National Planning Authority. What was actually launched was the study. The study. That is what was launched, not the activity. It was the study. This document is a common document of National Planning Authority and the World Bank, who are trying to find a solution to the problems of youth unemployment especially, and other common problems within this greater Kampala area.
Okay. Is this part of
what
the
was
package?
launched?
Land zoning and
what
land
was
banking?
launched was the study.
But is that the study? Does it also talk about land zoning and land banking?
I suppose. I mean, it's not my...
You suppose?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Have you had time to scrutinize this document?
No. I admit that I haven't.
But you
really.
were the one who launched it.
No, I didn't.
You together with Lugunda.
Yeah.
You called
we
the
launched
mayors.
the study. When you launch the study,
So what were you launching?
The study.
Okay.
Can we start studying all these things? We launched
So,
the
Mr.
study. It was clear.
So,
when the
are the
study,
suspicions
when the
about
study
land
is,
grabbing
when the
valid?
study is done, then we shall come back and receive the findings of the study. Then the finding of the study shall be discussed and presented to all relevant authorities and then launched.
What would be a
So what was
contention on
launched was the
land
study.
zoning?
First of all, this document shows you where the minds of these people are. They are looking at land. They are saying we shall use GIS to find out all land which is vacant in the metropolitan districts and the underdeveloped land. Underdeveloped land, that becomes a very, very big thing. And they are saying we shall use the land fund to buy off this land and put it in a land bank to be given to investors.
I'll read this for our viewers.
Yeah, you read it.
Land zoning is crucial to encourage the efficient use of space in the city. KCCA and local governments are unable to effectively zone and plan given the lack of land within local government control, as well as the large amounts of land owned by few landowners. As an initial step, vacant and underdeveloped land will be identified through GIS mapping. KCCA and local governments will also need to work closely with the current major landowning institutions, such as the Church and the Buganda Land Board, and individuals to jointly collaborate on land zoning. Furthermore, the potential for land swaps can be further explored with landowning institutions and individuals in order to facilitate land development of essential city locations. In order to finance land purchasing, KCCA and local governments will explore the coordinated purchasing of vacant and underdeveloped land through a land banking mechanism, e.g., using financing from the government of Uganda's existing land fund.
Njala, is
this qualify
is
as
that a
suspicion?
proposal or a statement of intention?
No. What they are saying...
Is that a proposal?
I think every Ugandan
it is a
knows...
statement of the intention.
Hold it. Please allow
Every
her to respond.
Ugandan knows that development is slow.
So that is part of the coordination.
Because
what they have
development
just
is
read.
slow because
That is coordination?
of the land
Because she said she's going to coordinate.
So,
that's coordination.
Please let her make her point. Yes.
What's wrong with saying that we shall speak to big landowners like the government of Buganda And indeed, Dr.
What
Chisamba
is
Mugera
wrong
already said
is for you to
I
be
have
doing
written-
exactly that
I have
and then
written
continue
to
telling
the
the
Katikkiro.
Ugandans that you are not doing it.
Because I'm going to discuss with him. Because there must be planning. There is a government in this country.
And why
How
do
do
you
you plan? Because when you're planning, you plan with all the resources that you have. The people, the land, the forest, the fees. But you must be mindful of all interests.
So land is crucial in the new creation.
Yeah, but
land is very crucial.
It is one thing you are going to coordinate.
Land is crucial, but I mean, whenever there's a government, the government has to plan. And it plans with and for all the resources in the land. But the most important thing, that all stakeholders are engaged. That is what is important.
No, you are not
all
engaging,
stakeholders.
yes. You have already
and
stated your intention
which you are
without
reading,
involving
this
the-
one which
these-
you are
the
reading
people.
says we shall involve
We
big land
shall do
owners.
this.
Yes, because we are
You are not
government.
this is no
government.
longer proposal.
We shall
It is
involve.
a statement
but
of your
Simon,
intentions.
You read it yourself. It says we shall engage big land owners like the Buganda government and Mr. Chisamba Mugera and even the Katikkiro himself. Yesterday in the Ruchiko, he said, I received communication
No, he
from
said
Dr.
he
Chisamba
received the
Mugera,
parcel.
and I'm going to read
Documents,
it's a lot of
which he has not
I
read.
will read it and
Don't-
come
don't-
back to them.
This is
So
the
even
final
before-
draft.
No, even
It is,
before.
this is the final draft. It is the final draft.
But
It's
it is-
not a proposal.
No, but it's a draft.
No.
A draft is, Betty, very good. It's not a proposal.
Yeah, it is
It's
a statement
draft.
of your intentions.
It is a draft.
And you are here telling people, for me, I'm just going
So
to
this is
coordinate.
already a sealed strategy.
No, it's a draft, Simon.
It's a draft.
It is here written, it's a draft.
Final.
A draft means,
Final.
of course, you make, before you engage people.
And you
Subject to
went and
dialogue.
launched it.
No. We launched a study. We launched a study.
Depending on this.
Of course. There must be a working document, Betty.
And
you don't just go to
whom did you involve?
When
Whom did you
you are going
consult?
to study,
Whom did you involve?
make a plan
And Betty,
and a plan.
let me ask
you don't
you.
just go from everywhere and start studying.
Let
you
me-
must have a working document.
Let me ask you, as of now, today, it's the 28th
Yes.
of March, who is the political head of Kampala today?
The president.
That is what you think?
And the president.
That is what you wish?
Of course,
Or
because
that is the fact?
that is the fact.
You bring out that, you bring that act. You bring
Because
that act.
this act
you
is the
bring
one.
that act. You bring that act. Read in this Kampala Capital City Act a section that makes the president the political head of Kampala.
No.
As I also read for you, the section that makes the Lord Mayor the political head of Kampala.
That's what we are trying to streamline.
Okay.
But if you have not
We are going to
streamlined it,
streamline it.
now I was asking you, as of today, the 28th of March, 2018, who is the political head of Kampala before you streamline?
You read it.
Who is
Read.
the who is
Read.
the, no, you tell
You
me.
read it.
You are the
You
minister in
read
charge
it.
of these
You
affairs.
read it.
She doesn't want to say.
You read
she
it.
doesn't want to admit that the political head of the Kampala is the Lord Mayor.
Yeah, because it's
and
a
one of
misnomer.
his duties at the
It's a
moment.
misnomer.
Give me the
It, at the moment, one of his duties is to lead the authority into drawing policies and strategies. And for you, you are drawing
And who
this
has stopped
strategy
him?
from your office.
Where is his study? Are we going to sit and wait for him?
Betty.
Where is his study?
Did you bring him
so
before?
if
Has he invited us? I know.
how many times have the Lord Mayor invited you for councils and you have refused to
He
go?
has not invited us
How
for
many
a study.
times you bet come?
No.
Now you are here, a whole minister saying that the political head of Kampala is the
Of
president.
course,
because
the
that is
president
what
is
you
the
wish
political
for.
head of this country.
And that is why you are given
And that's
7.9
why-
billion, and it is you who is politicking. You have nothing to do with development. You are just hiding under this innocent document of the World Bank.
Yeah, because that's what you
Deception
think.
is what you are doing, Betty. And that is bad of you. I lived with you for so long. You were my role model. Remember what you used to say,
Don't lecture
Betty.
at me,
No,
Mambose.
I'm lecturing
Don't
you.
lecture
I
at
will
me.
lecture you
You will not lecture
because
me.
you
Please tell her
talked to
not to
me
lecture
and
me.
I picked your
That's
words.
not why you
Betty,
will
this is
not
not what
I
I
will
was
not
doing.
listen to
Shall
you.
we?
No, we can't
On the
confess.
issue at hand.
No. What do you do to a minister
book.
who
Give us a
says
book.
that the law makes the
Because
president the
everybody
political
knows
head
that
of
the president is
Kampala?
the political head of this
That
country.
is what you wish.
And the
She cannot
Constitution
even
says that
come
Kampala
bring herself
is
to say.
administered by the central government.
So you
What
see,
is the role of this mayor, the Lord Mayor?
this wonderful,
Why don't you
honorable
do
lady.
No. Please hand.
She failed to read it. She said she can't read it. She's ignorant of her own law.
So have
Okay.
you, are you,
No. I can help you read.
That's why we are streamlining this
So
law
you have
to fall in
proposed the
line
amendment,
with the
and you are already
Constitution.
operating in
are you
according to
correcting a
Fall in
misnomer that
line
gives...
with the Constitution.
Has that
the
law,
Constitution
has
section
your wish been
Article
been
5
codified?
says
Okay, hold
that
it.
Kampala shall be administered by the central
You make a
government.
misinterpretation. In
The Constitution
court
is
has
the
already
supreme
interpreted
law
that.
of this
The
country.
Act says the function of the Lord Mayor are to be the political head of the capital city. You call this a
That's
misnomer.
what we are trying to
But
correct.
today it is the law.
So, does
Before
it-
you collect it, why,
But
why do you
correct
disable
it.
the
So
Lord Mayor?
doesn't this in a way suggest that you want to take away the power
Yes,
of the Lord Mayor?
that is what she has proposed
Not to
in
take
this
away the
amendment.
power to streamline
Streamline
this
how?
act with the Constitution.
What will be
Who is
left
the
of the
consti-
Lord
Which
Mayor?
constitution?
This to stream no the Lord Mayor will have a lot of work to do to streamline this act with the Constitution.
Imagine.
Because the Constitution was made like all laws, but when it was put to test, it is not working, the law, so well. That is why it is important.
What have you put on
to
test
streamline
that has
it.
failed to work? What have you put in place?
This law was made in 2010, but when it has been put to the test,
This is an anomaly. You cannot have the Lord Mayor as the political head of the
yes,
capital
yes.
city.
Is that
when the Constitution
Do you know
says,
that it is
when the
also that
Constitution
law that
says
talks about-
that this law that the central government shall be
So the only
shall
mistake
be
there
an
are the powers of the
administrator.
Lord Mayor. But when
Of
it
course
provides
not.
for the powers of the minister, in that sense it is proper.
Of course, it is. This amendment will
What if
streamline all
the
those
anomaly in that law is to bring the minister of Kampala
Let me tell you,
in charge of
Simon.
nothing?
If tomorrow we have an election and DP or UPC or FDC get into government, they will be the administrators of Kampala.
No, we shall
It is
reverse that
not
thing.
streamlined.
It is
It is not
hopeless.
tied to NRM. They will be the administrators of Kampala. If any party becomes
So now you are NRM.
forms government.
Can I link this?
Are you NRM now?
Can I link this ambition to the proposal or to the statement you made to the president, pronouncing yourself that by 2020, whatever, you'll be able to garner 80% support for the president in Kampala? Do you want to own that statement in the
causing
first
confusion.
Yeah,
place?
you know, Simon, people twist things around as much as they want.
Yes.
What happened during those days, the president started visiting many groups in Kampala, reaching them personally. And he said his frustration was that when we put money in the budget, money reaches is supposed to go to people, but he's not saying it on the ground. So he decided to stop in small, wherever he's driving, he sees young people doing something, he stops and greets them and engages them. So I said, Mr. President, if you go on like this, reaching people the way you have started,
Giving
you
handouts.
will get 85%.
No, you said
and he will.
to deliver 80% victory to
And
you
we shall.
in Kampala.
And I will. I will.
Could this be
Kampala
part of the
has
scheme?
changed. Kampala has seen through
Because
the
you have
propaganda.
7.9
Kampala has
billion,
seen through the
Betty?
populists.
You
Kampala has seen
you
through
can stand in the
a lot
taxi
of
park
people.
and make that statement.
I will. I
We
can.
can't.
I can.
Can't
I
you
always
see?
go there. I'm always with the people.
With
I am always with the
What
people.
would it
With the
take
gun.
you- Honorable, what would it take you to bring Honorable Namboze and others on board, other skeptics, when it comes to these matters?
Doing while you're
You
doing
know,
good things.
of course, you know, Honorable Numbers. She has got her, let me say, her side. You know, people will never agree. It's probably never. But
That's her fashion.
Fortunately, they are the minority.
Yeah.
The majority agree.
So you're not bringing the minority on board?
I would like
Since
to
when
bring
did
them.
you become part of the majority, Betty?
Since I was appointed minister.
Oh,
Yes.
it is very recent.
Of course.
By the way,
Anytime.
By the way-
But remember, you are also in NRM. You want to join DP. So moving from one party to another, I'm not the first who did it.
But you're moving so
did
fast.
it.
In fact,
you moved so fast.
no.
From NRM
You
to
were,
DP,
you
even
were
though
in
you became
NRM.
DP.
You went to reform agenda. From reform agenda
Yeah, because
to
for me, I
FDC,
move. I move.
It is
UFA,
not
now to NRM.
Yes.
You was
the important thing, Betty, you also moved.
Let's bring the
parties.
discussion back to Kampala.
Yes.
What kind of Kampala do you want?
What the type of Kampala we want, Simon, is a Kampala for the people. We are thinking about what they call ethical development. Ethical development would mean that you don't pursue just growth, but you also look at the moral aspect of what you are doing.
Is this immoral?
It is immoral.
What is it?
What is immoral, Betty? Is for you to go and destroy traders' properties at Nachivubo in one night and hand over that land to Ham, and Ham starts constructing a building without a building plan. That is very immoral.
Do you want to tag this in the bill?
That is very immoral, and that is what you want to extend to
the
Mukono.
problem with
the people you chased from Nachivubo.
She has no information.
No, I do. A lot of it by there, a lot of the
things.
Did Ham have a building plan?
What we gave it to him.
Didn't you destroy people's property in the night, Betty?
Let me tell you.
That is what you call development, and that is what you want to take to Nansana.
All the people, and we delivered a statement, a report to Parliament.
Oh, the day you delivered it, everybody was disappointed with you. I couldn't even believe that it was you, Betty.
Located, were relocated to gazetted markets.
Of course,
they were located.
Of course, the viewers have all been here.
To Safi Market, to Wandegea Market, to Owino Market. The report is with Parliament. It has never been thrown out. It was laid on table. It has never been disputed.
Honourable, what are the chances
and let me tell
that
you,
this controversial bill is going to see the light of the day?
That what is
so you are not concerned about the moral aspect of what you are doing, Betty?
There's no
you don't look at the issue of the greater good.
People were repressed.
You only want to see buildings going up, buildings without building plans.
Betty, people were relocated.
No, they were not.
They were relocated.
And they are viewing it. And they are looking at you.
Of course, they are looking at me.
You know, they want to jump into the... No, you are not happy.
Kampala.
You sold your horses, Betty.
I moved to Kampala. I am very happy.
You are not free.
Betty.
You are not.
The problem with Betty, when you get in government, you must make decisions. You don't have to be populist all the time. You must
populist is what? What do you want to refer to? So you were a populist when you sat... Yeah, what is this date? When you sat on the 17th of December 2012 and you wrote that we should not focus on Kampala. We should think about building